Well, every now and then that First Amendment sure can come in handy, even in extremely enlightened, in fact, perhaps the politest society on the face of the earth, our friends up in Canada. And, oh, Canada, have we got a story for you. Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Whittle here with Steve Green and Scott Ott. The story's about a week old, gentlemen, but it bears mentioning because it's an example of something I think that is a way we should be treating oppression and tyranny in free and open societies. So basically, here's the story. There's a small town in Ontario that was basically told during June, during Gay Pride Month, that they need to fly the rainbow flag on their flagpole, and they refused. And the town refused because they said, we don't fly flags for other people. We don't fly Christian flags on holidays. We don't fly Muslim flags. We don't fly any flags for anybody. We're not going to fly the pride flag. And one of the reasons that they decided they're not going to fly the pride flag is they don't have a flagpole in the town. But in any event, they flat out refused. And this angered a gay rights group enough so that a group in Canada that exists in Canada that does not exist in the United States with the enormously ominous title of the Human Rights Tribunal took a look at this case and decided that this town, and I'm not making this up, the name of the town is Emo, Ontario. The town of Emo, in order to be punished for not complying with the gay pride agenda, was fined $10,000. The mayor of the town, who voted, the town council voted 3-2 against. The mayor of the town who voted was fined $5,000. And all three of the members of the city council who voted against flying the pride flag were not only told to report to sensitivity training, but they had to provide written proof to this particular gay advocacy group that they had attended the training. And it's best of all, the $10,000 fine for the city and the $5,000 fine for the mayor didn't go to the government of Ontario or Canada. It went to the gay pride group that protested the fact that they wouldn't take a knee and fly the pride flag. I'm so proud of the people of Emo, Canada, Steve, and I'm proud of them in a strange sort of way. So I thought I'd start with you because you'll appreciate this. There's a restaurant that I like to go to on special occasions here in Los Angeles. It's a very, very nice restaurant out in Malibu, and Natasha and I go there on anniversaries and things like that. They serve martinis there, and one of the ways they cool the martinis is with dry ice. And they'd been doing this for a long, long time. Put a little piece of dry ice in the bottom of the martini, and it keeps it cold, and it doesn't water it down. Well, somewhere around 2-3 years ago, I went to this place and ordered a martini, and I didn't get the dry ice in there. And I said, well, why not any dry ice? And they said, well, because somebody swallowed the dry ice and they sued the restaurant. I thought, well, that's typical. So one idiot ruins everything for everybody. This is the part about it that I actually admire, Steve. I went back again about a year ago and discovered to my delight that the dry ice was back in the martini. Oh. And I said, I thought that you guys had been told that you can't do that. And the waiter said, we can't. Then why is the dry ice in here? Is it still against the law? And they said, yes, it's still against the law for us to serve this with dry ice. And if they catch us serving it with dry ice, they fine us $10,000. And if they fine us $10,000, we pay it. And I thought, damn, that's just, you know, that's the kind of resistance that I'm talking about, where you have the coercive power of the government telling you to do something. And this restaurant said, our customers come here for a dining experience. The damn inspectors are not here every night, for God's sakes, checking on our dry ice. We may get cited for this 2-3 times a year. I'm just off the top of my head, right? And whatever the fine was, they said, yeah, so they fine us, so we pay the fine. And we do what our customers want. It reminded me of the situation in Emo, because when you've got an oppressive government in a Western society, it's not exactly worth taking arms up over the dry ice or the fine for the gay pride flag. But some part of me, in both cases, says, good for both of you for just eating the fine and not taking a knee to the totalitarian busybodies who are trying to tell you how to run your life at every single stage of your existence.
You know, you remind me of a Robert Heinlein quote. I think it was from Lazarus Long, Time Enough for Love, the little notebook quotes in there. It said, "Freedom begins when you tell Mrs. Grundy to go fly a kite."
There you go.
And I've always loved that line. And I don't even have to explain who Mrs. Grundy is. Lazarus didn't explain. You know by her name. She's the neighborhood busybody who's always,
Karen Grundy.
Exactly. Karen Grundy. Head of the HOA.
That's right.
These are great stories.
Who works in HR.
Long ago, friend of mine, I lost him to leukemia just 25 years ago now, was maitre d' at a couple of restaurants in Colorado Springs, nice restaurants. And the last place he worked before he got ill did not have their liquor license yet. But Valentine's Day rolled around, and I wanted to take the gal I was dating to a nice dinner, and I knew the dinner would be great there, even if we couldn't get any booze. And after we sat down, Dave asked me if I would like a glass of tea, and I told him, "Oh, no, thank you, water's fine." And he said, "You really want the tea?" And okay. And he brings out 2 tea glasses. Mine has scotch in it, and hers had whatever it was her favorite cocktail was. I'm not sure how David found out. And this is what they were doing. They would have been closed down for serving liquor without a license. But this is what they did. Liquor licensing laws are just absolute. If you've ever had to navigate them, they're awful. And it's this sort of thing that is so American. I'm glad to see it's in Canada too, because they are much further down along the path that it seems like the whole English-speaking world is on these days. You see it in Britain, you see it in Australia, you see it in New Zealand, you see it here. And you know, there was a big debate in the 80s, at least the one that I was involved in at that time. You know, it's a totalitarian future. Was it going to be Brave New World, where, you know, we were just sort of sedated and conditioned to live in this dystopian society, or was it going to be 1984, where, you know, if you didn't conform, you go to room 101 before you got a bullet in the brain? Or, well, it wasn't either of those. What we ended up with, or what the path we seem to be on, is Terry Gilliam's Brazil, where the totalitarianism is bureaucratic, and it maintains the form of democracy or a democratic republic, but everything is so structured by the bureaucracy that it's impossible to get anything done, and the absurdities stack up. I mean, the underground hero of Brazil is played by Robert De Niro, and he's a guy who installs ductwork without a license. It might be, well, there's no might about it. Brazil is Terry Gilliam's best movie, and he's made some good ones over the year. If you've never seen it, you have to watch it. It was absolutely prophetic in the bureaucratic absurdity after absurdity after absurdity that have been stacking up, particularly since 2020 and the unnecessary and illegal COVID lockdowns. So whatever form your rebellion against these bureaucratic absurdities takes, take it.
Unlicensed duct installers of the world unite. Scott, a number of commentators have pointed out something which I think is actually a profoundly interesting point. In schools and in cases like this, it's not that they want to fly. It's not that they want to post a gay pride poster. They want to fly a flag. And a number of people have said that when you fly the flag is the sign of a conquering nation. You run up your flag over the enemy's flagpole, and that is a sign that you have taken over this particular area, country, city, town square, whatever the case may be. Now, when the gay rights movement began, we were told they just simply wanted the right to be married and left alone and be treated like everybody else. But this is what this has morphed into. Is morphed into a radical movement that has determined to show dominance. It forces you to take a knee. Now, we have protections here in the United States that allow us a lot of pushback, but the horrifically named Human Rights it's a tribunal. I'm sure there's no way they're elected to the Human Rights Tribunal. 3 people decided to find this little town $10,000, give it to the gay pride group, find the mayor personally $5,000, give him the money, and then ensure in writing proof that to the gay pride group that all 3 members had gone to the re-education camp and that they all loved Big Brother. And when you see American classrooms with a gay pride flag, and not a few cases with the American flag taken down, replaced by the gay pride flag, it's no longer a question of tolerance or acceptance of a different lifestyle. We're now talking about fighting back against an ideology that has been weaponized to force Western nations to essentially abandon their sovereignty, and they're doing it without guns.
Yeah, and this is just over the border in Ontario. It's not far from the United States of America. This group, Borderland Pride, has actually been warning and threatening the town of Emo and its 76-year-old mayor currently serving, a guy whose last name is McQuaker, which I just love that name. Anyway, since for several years, and pointing out since 2020, they've been pointing out that back in 1995, both Hamilton and London, Ontario, refused to recognize Gay Pride Week, and Hamilton was fined $5,000 and London was fined $10,000. And they're basically saying, hey, nice town you've got there, Emo. It'd be a shame if anything happened to it. And McQuaker, the mayor, is basically saying, look, this is extortion. They are literally saying Borderland Pride, which is the group that would get the money, even though the Ontario Human Rights Council and it's not, they didn't just threaten a fine. They actually garnished the money from McQuaker's account. So they took the $5,000. And in return, Borderland Pride has said that they would be willing to return up to a third of the reward that they stand to receive. They'd return that to the Emo Public Library on the condition that the library would host a drag time story event on the date of their choosing.
Is there any indication of what Emo had to reply to that?
This is nuts, I think it was.
I was just about to use McAuliffe's. What was his name?
McAuliffe.
Yeah.
So anyway, so this isn't a gay rights group. This is a gay mafia.
That's right.
This is a protection network. This is a terrorist group. This is a group that it says to a town that doesn't even have a flagpole. What do they expect them to erect a flagpole for the occasion?
Yes.
And McQuaker says, the mayor says, look, we're not flying a heterosexual flag either. We just don't do that. We're not doing any of this. They do have to attend these classes where, and among the teachings, I've got to find this sentence in here because there's among the teachings, here it is, in the Human Rights 101 course, are this, that it doesn't matter, this is a quote, it doesn't matter if you didn't intend or mean to discriminate. It's the impact on the person that matters. And of course, in this case, the person is a gay mafia group called Borderland Pride. And so there's no real person. It's just this group that this is what they do. It reminds me back when Jesse Jackson's Rainbow Coalition used to go around to companies and saying, wouldn't it be nice if you made a donation to the Rainbow Coalition? Because that would sure be a lot better than a bunch of people standing outside the gates of your headquarters with signs.
Calling you racist. It's a racket. It's an extortion racket.
Yeah.
And it's a power play. And it's warfare by other means. My understanding is that one of the guys who I think was part of this group said, "Oh, we're going to take all of their money. From now on, we run into people who oppose us. We plan to drain all of their resources. We're going to bankrupt them, and we're going to continue to punish them until they no longer behave this way. In other words, we are going to continue to use the woke bureaucracy of Canada to make everybody take a knee to our particular philosophy, and if they don't, we'll ruin them." And what I find from this is that there's a great deal of similarity to this with what we've been seeing in the United States prior to the election of 2024. And I think the potential good news in this is the more tyrannical, nobody likes your organization any better as a result of this. the damage you've done to gay people who are not militant about this is enormous, because they're feeling the backlash from it. There's an entire movement of gay people that are openly against this aggressive either gay pride or transgender pride movement, saying we just want to be left alone. You're making us look like exactly what we were painted as, namely a bunch of advocate lunatics who are just trying to recruit people for our way of life. But all of this to say that I suspect that Canada is due and overdue for an electoral upset, the likes of which we haven't seen in the United States since, November 5th of 2024. For Steve Green and Scott Ott, I'm Bill Whittle. Thanks for joining us. And Canada, you've seen the outcome down here. You know what you can do. You know what you have to do. Now just go out there and do it.